Oh gosh, here I am recording and I got my recorder on. So here's what's next. Our Figma number 10, the catalog project, which by the way is all kind of hooked up, not on that class, it's not, but it's kind of all hooked up on Google Classroom. And it's a 2 day thing for sure, and it might be a 3 day thing. But you see it's marked for Monday and Tuesday on this week, and there's a handout here. And I am going to pop over to the handout here for a moment to take a look at a few things. This will all be done on Figma. You start a new project, probably need to rename it. Some of you are not great at that. Get the frame tool. You're going to need to pick a device. I don't really care what size you use. You could use any phone, or you could actually use an iPad or something like that if you wanted to. But you're going to need at least 7 frames, at least. You could have more, but that would be like if you want to. Here is the concept behind this. The idea is that you're creating a prototype of an app that would be selling something, selling a product. My example that I'm going to show you here in a minute is a pizza. Like a pizza place, and they have 5 different kinds of pizzas that they sell. So if you're doing shoes, you would have to have 5 different models of shoes. If you're doing bicycles, you would have to have 5 different bicycles that you're selling. You have to have 5 of something that you're selling. That's the idea that we're going to use on this little prototype app thing that we're going to work on. All right, so requirements, right? You have to have a home screen. That's going to be your very first screen, your first one. A catalog or a menu screen that shows the 5 different things, kind of small versions of them, but of 5 like thumbnails. Here's what's for sale. Here are the 5 different models, items that are for sale. If you're doing cars, it'd be 5 different cars. If you're, like I said, I'm doing pizzas, so it's 5 different pizzas. Then you're going to have a product screen for each one of those. So that would mean at least 5 product screens, unless you decide to do some extras. And it's got to show that product, right? Now you're going to have an image of each product on the product screen. You're going to have to give it a name if it doesn't have a name already. Like mine are just like Veggie Delight and Pepperoni Supreme and things like that. But there has to be a name on there. You got to use some text. You got to have a name. What is the product? And you got to make up a price. Unless you know the price, you can put the real price, but you got to have a price. So image, name, and price of every product that's on there. You'll have to use text to make it all make sense. So you're going to have text on there. And navigation is really important. You got to have a way to navigate through your entire thing. I'm going to show you mine in a minute. And you can work on navigation a lot of different ways. So do it however it makes sense to you. But, buttons, icons, images, whatever you want to use, but they got to be linked to all the screens so you can get around to all the screens, and it should make some sense how you get around to all the screens. The other thing we're working for is a good organized overall look. Avoid being sloppy. Okay, points are all broken out on the handout here. It's an 85-point thing. You can pull up this handout and look at all the details of, right, home screen's worth 5 points and yada, 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 all the way down, right? When everything looks good, you're going to turn it in the same way we've been doing, right? You're just going to click that share button and copy the link and turn it in on Google Classroom. Definitely a 2 day thing. Could possibly turn into a 3 day thing, a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday thing. So that I'll just have to let you know about. Okay? All right, so let's go up here and look at mine. This is my pizza prototype here. You see the layout that I use. This just made sense to me when I laid out my 7 screens to do them like this. The top one is my home screen, my main screen. The second one is the menu screen. I'll give you a closer look here in a minute. And then these 5 down here are all my product screens that show the pizzas that are for sale through this little app that I have here. And all right, so I'm going to zoom in on some and I'll pull this down. So now you're looking at my main screen. This is my home screen. I just called it Figma Italiano, right? So you should have a name of the business. What is it? What's the company? What's the name of the store, the business, the company? What is it? And then I went out and I found, these are just rectangles back here. That's all those are, is just because it's the Italian flag, red, white, and green. And then I found a PNG transparent background image of Italy on the internet. So I put that on there. It's a pizzeria. Made sure everybody knows that. This is a button that gets to the menu, but you're getting a little hint here. You see that side menu right there? Do you see that hamburger that I have up here? Wonder if that's like the assignment from Friday. Could be. So these are actually going to be navigation items as well. Let's roll this on down. Here is my menu page. This is the second page. So again, I have the name of the company, Authentic Italian Pizza, and my little thumbnails. These are small versions of the product, right? And they're all labeled here: classic cheese, meat lovers, veggie lovers. So like if you're doing shoes, then you have 5 different kinds of shoes. And what are they? The Air 9, the Max Leaper, I don't know, whatever they're called. So work to make a good, pleasing arrangement that has all of the information that you should have. And navigation is going to be important. I'll show you a little bit more about that here in a minute. Let's roll it on down. I'm zoomed in some, but now you'll notice that if you're looking, you'll notice that my product page is the one that's about, I've got a page for every kind of pizza. And if you're doing shoes, you would have a page for every kind of shoes, a page for every kind of bicycle, a page for every kind of car that you're selling, whatever it is you're selling. Each model or each version gets its own page. So here's my classic cheese. And I found these pictures, and again, I did some searching and hunting, but I found PNG transparent background versions. I had to hunt a little. It took a little work, but I found them. So I got cheese, and I put prices on here. So I got the name of it, I got the price of it, I got the picture of it, and you'll notice that the layout of all of these is very similar, right? Do you think maybe I did some alt dragging, or maybe making some components that I could use over and over? Well, I sure did. I didn't want to rebuild all those things every time. So I did a whole lot of alt dragging, and I used a few components here and there so that I wouldn't have to just reconstruct every page every time I went to make one, right? It doesn't make sense to use your time that way. So, and you'll notice that my prices down here, the kids and the small and the medium and large, they're all the same for all the pizzas. That's okay. That's all right. Um, yeah. So now let's get into navigation, right? If I click over here on prototype, and I'm going to zoom out some because I want you to see something. If I go to prototype and I just click once on that empty area, oh man, doesn't that look like a mess a little bit? Look at that. All of those lines running everywhere, right? Because here's what I did. I showed you earlier, I have a hamburger. I created a hamburger, and I made it a component, by the way, but I created a hamburger that is attached to this side menu over here, right? And I used that hamburger on every page, right? Like this is my menu screen right here, and you see the hamburger, and the hamburger is attached to this side menu. You'll see all of these attachments running up to the side menu because every page is attached to that side menu. Every page has the hamburger on it, right? And these, like where it says cheese and meat and veggie and Hawaiian and pepperoni, those are all attached to the screens that they go with, right? The pepperoni, this is kind of like a button here, right? So this is a group, a little shape and some text, and it is attached to, it's coming, it's attached to the pepperoni page, right? And I did some other kinds of like these thumbnails. I also, just as like extra navigation, these thumbnails are also attached to their pages. Like cheese is attached to cheese and meat is attached to meat. And this button right here on my first page says see our menu is attached to the menu page. But really the main part of the navigation, I decided to do it, and you don't have to do it this way. You just have to create navigation. But I decided to do it with that side menu, which we did in the previous lesson, right? All right, so I'm going to hit my play button here, and let's get a preview going of this. Let's do that, and so here we are. I'm on my first page. And I can click this button here that says see our menu, and it shows the menu. And I can, if I wish, I can click on the cheese or the meat or the veggie or the Hawaiian or the pepperoni, and it'll go to that page. But once you get there, there's not really any other navigation option except for the hamburger up here, which gives you the opportunity to go to anywhere you want on my whole app here. You could go back home. On the hamburger, you could go to the menu. You could go to the Meat Lovers Pizza. You could go to the Hawaiian Pizza, right? Really, the hamburger is kind of the way to go because this bit of navigation right here allows you to go anywhere you want to go, anytime you want to go there, right? You can go home, menu, any of the pizzas, bingo. And I set my animation preferences, right? I've got to move in, and it's moving to the right, and I've got that ease out and back because I like it. I set it because I like it. And so that's what you're going to have to do too. You're going to have to pick things that you like. And you'll notice that the background of all of my pages is really a gray background, except for when I added little decorations like this Italian flag thing and the map of Italy and all those kinds of things. So yeah, that's how mine turned out. And now it's going to be your turn. You're going to put one together. And I'll go back over here for a second and zoom out some. Again, I want you to get a peek at what are you going to have to do. I'll get back over to the design side so you don't see all those lines. Main screen, right? Menu. It has like small versions of your 5 products. And then 5 product pages, right? The handout has all the requirements and everything on there. The product page, they have to have what is the product, what's it called, there's a picture of it, and the price of it. And that has to be there. That's required. Has to be there. And then navigation really is important. Navigation has to work. All right. Well, there you have it. That's the mission. And again, it's at least a 2-day thing. It might turn out to be a 3-day thing, but I'll just have to communicate with you about that. It depends on how quickly we make progress. All right, end of movie. See you later.